trumpet sounds in the night, a soldier is standing there. It's calling him out to the stars and the stripes. It's calling him God knows where. He kisses the ones he loves goodbye and leaves in the dead of night. For freedom he'll heed the call in all he knows, and for freedom he'll stand and fight. And somewhere a man and wife can't believe they're waving their girl goodbye. For gone are the days of pigtails and pearls and candlelit lullabies. If they have their way, she'd stay young forever and never be far from home. But freedom has drawn her heart to danger shore, and for freedom they'll let her go. And somewhere a thunderous crash in the night, it echoes all through the hills. Though many escape its wrath and its rage, a soldier lies wounded still. Remembering the land he loves, he cries, I loved you with all my heart. For freedom said I'm her son, whatever comes, and for freedom I'll say goodbye.
Hello, I'm Mike Burkdahl. I'm the founder of PMIM Ministries in Newburg, Indiana, and a Vietnam-era Marine. It's an honor to be able to speak to everyone here today. Thank you all for your work with veterans and for your dedication to our mission for Christ. Our national president, Marcus, has asked us here at PMIM of Newburg to share some things about our outpost and what has moved us to be one of the most active in the PMIM family. I'd like to give a special acknowledgement to Gene Rolls at Topeka, who inspired us as Christ began our ministry here in Newburg over 13 years ago. We're honored to be a part of the PMIM Ministries family. Present on our end today are 4 members of our Outpost Board of Directors who will be presenting 4 different aspects of our ministry. Each will have a very sharp perspective and important comments about our outpost. We'll make this as concise as possible. Our outpost began modestly in 2009 with only 3 other veterans and I. We had a budget of a mere $200. This year, we are operating out of 3 large area churches with a budget over $240,000. Also this year, we funded the first home for a local housing project, Home of the Brave, which builds single-family homes for underserved veterans. The homes cost $165,000 each, and our outpost completely funded the first one with the help of our wonderful donors. In the next few minutes, you'll be hearing about other important projects we're involved in, so let's get started with that. I'd like to introduce one of our longtime board members, Dan Oates.
My name is Dan Oates. I'm the CFO of the organization, and I've been with PMIM since its inception in 2009. It took us about 2 years for the outpost to grow to 12 to 15 veterans. Mike had a vision of hosting a community-wide welcome home event, and his vision became Freedom Isn't Free. In addition to welcoming home veterans, we wanted to increase our awareness of PMIM within the community. Over 800 people attended the event, And the most moving part of the event was when Mike draped the flags on each veteran from all wars since World War II. This equally impressive thing was the 1,400 plus flags on the Crossroad campus. It was a beautiful November morning with a slight wind, and those flags flew magnificently. The result of Freedom Free was that our weekly attendance grew to 40 or more veterans with 8 to 12 home front members until COVID. The board realized that we needed a professionally recognized peer support program, one that was designed for combat veterans. We were introduced to Reboot Combat Recovery in 2019. Reboot is one of the most important things that we do. We've conducted a dozen Reboot Combat Recovery classes with 4 to 6 attendees each, and we held the first female-only Reboot class in the nation. We've held a second all-female Reboot and 1 Reboot trauma class since. The feedback from the veterans is that it's helped them in dealing with their deep-seated issues from their combat service. Other significant activities include we've held 2 Tres Dias per Seal 3-day spiritual offsite retreats. This is where our members accepted Christ and where marriages and family relationships were saved. We did an honor bus trip to Washington, D.C. for 27 veterans and their spouses. Since Honor Flight was focusing on World War II and Korean veterans at the time, we had members with health problems, and we were concerned about them living long enough to go on Honor Flight. In fact, 2 members that went on the trip died before they be eligible for Honor Flight. We took 35 veterans on a day trip to Patton Museum at Fort Knox, Kentucky. We held Freedom Isn't Free 2 on 30 October 2021, and over 600 people attended the main event. We had 116 paying supporters attend a fundraising brunch before the main event. Parsons will add more details in his presentation. However, God has blessed Point Man from its inception by providing over $50,000 of seed funding we needed for the first Freedom Isn't Free. And he's met our financial needs every year since. Now that we're expanding our services and footprint to other churches, we are facing new funding challenges, but we're confident that God will provide. Next, I'd like to introduce Mark Parsons.
Hi, I'm Mark Parsons. I've been in Point Man for 8 years. I've been on the board for 5 years. Point Man was affected by COVID in April of 2020. Crossroads Christian Church in Newburg, where we've been meeting, shut down all operations, including their refuge program, which included Point Man. Point Man had lost its biggest supporter and meeting location. Shortly afterwards, we added a partner, the Epworth United Methodist Church in Newburg. Pastor Danny Barr, a Marine, and a veteran of Desert Storm. Pastor Barr opened the doors to Point Man and joined our group. This enabled Point Man to continue to operate. On October 30th, 2021, Point Man rebounded. Point Man held one of the biggest veterans events in local area, Freedom Isn't Free. Guest speakers included Indiana's only Medal of Honor recipient, Vietnam veteran Sergeant First Class Sammy Davis, and Major Jeff Strucker, who was in combat in Mogadishu, Afghanistan, and Iraq. Also won the Army Ranger of the Year competition. 33 tri-state veterans organizations partnered with Point Man, share their veteran support, resources, and other information. Point Man's Veterans Resource Fair was available to approximately 700 participants. Many of these veteran support groups have been shut down because of COVID, and this event was inspiration for them to get back on their feet. A few months ago, we were approached by elders from a Christian Fellowship Church in Evansville, Indiana. CFC is the largest non-denominational church in the area with between 2,000 and 2,500 members in their congregation. They wanted to identify and support veterans within their congregation and ask for information about point men. We agreed to meet with them at their church and talk with their outreach pastor about the point man of Newburg. We suggested that they partner with us to share our mission and existing community activities instead of creating a new competing local organization. The Christian Fellowship Church team and point men have been working together just 10 weeks. In this time, we've had communicated with approximately 40 veterans so far who are interested in joining point men. Together, we are organizing a Veterans Family Appreciation Banquet for 30 veterans and their families in October. We believe that partnering with individual churches opens opportunities, identifies veterans, and helps to establish relationships. Point Man in Newburg has changed its logo in reference to the beginning identifying Point Man Ministries. We've begun conversations with other churches in the area to identify veteran needs and resources. Dave will speak next.
Hello, I'm Dave Larson. I'm a U.S. Army veteran. I served in Vietnam, and I've been a member of Point Man for about 2 years now. Over the years, Point Man of Newburg has identified many local opportunities to support veterans and their families. Point Man quietly addressed these needs. The number of active Vietnam-era veterans was relatively large, and we had fewer new generation Desert Storm, Afghanistan, and Iraq veterans. Point Man in Newburg was meeting regularly and supported multiple group meetings, including Bible study, reboot, and others. Point Man began to hit a wall just before the COVID-19 pandemic virtually eliminated all in-person gatherings. The older veterans were getting tired or worse, while the younger veterans were still few in number. The needs that Point Man wanted to address were falling on fewer individuals. We decided that we needed to examine our organization and our activities. We started with the reorganization of our Point Man of Newburg Board of Directors. Using our mission and vision as a focal point, we aligned activities under 3 key mission-focused strategies. These 3 were fundraising, community partners, and direct support. Each strategy in supporting or related activities were assigned to a board member. These leaders own these areas, and they were empowered by the board to make decisions to make things happen. This has led us to a minimum of group discussions and decisions of detail during board meetings. The result has been a greater board focus on mission and supporting strategies. We define roles and expectations for most board positions, and we ask that each board member work on commitments of time, charity, and team supportive behaviors. Some left the board and were replaced with new talent. Some tasks and activities were set aside. We believe we've become more mission-focused and more effective through these changes. Many of us wear more than one hat. I'm the board treasurer, and I also manage one of the direct support activities, Vet Court. Our Vanderburgh County Veterans Treatment and Mentor Program was established in 2011. We expanded the program into the neighboring Warwick County Court about 1 year ago. The program's mission is to successfully rehabilitate veterans involved in the court system using evidence-based treatment to positively change their behavior and lead to productive, law-abiding civilian life. We've had 36 veterans successfully complete the treatment program, which ranges in length from 12 to 18 months. This is hard work for those in the program, and we are proud to stand with the veterans that are in this program. We have 17 veterans in the program at this time and 8 Point Man mentors working with them. Some of our other Point Man direct support activities include the YMCA's Military Family and Dependents Vacations at Camp Carson, the J.D. Sheth Foundation's Home of the Brave project, which is providing housing and support for low-income veterans, Swerka and More, a community support organization that identifies veterans in need of immediate financial help. The Tri-State Women Veterans Conference, Gresham House, which provides short-term housing for veterans, Honor Flight, and others. Next, you'll hear from our chaplain, Danny Barr.
Hi, I'm Danny Barr. I've been with Point Man for about 2 years. I'm a U.S. Marine Corps Desert Storm veteran. You're probably noticing a few consistent themes here. Passionate, Christ-following leaders with solid execution on programming and events. With Christ as the source of our strength, faithfulness in the little things has caused us to be yoked with greater and greater responsibilities. We accept them as gifts from God, His work to be done by His followers, each according to their gifts. That sounds biblically simple, doesn't it? Living into that can be difficult in a world full of distractions. As Dan mentioned a little while ago, coming out of COVID, we were led to have a second Freedom Isn't Free event. From that event, a donor was so moved by it that he felt we have to do more. Over time, that thought has developed into a new organization called Mission First. This group will focus on supporting a community that embraces and values those with military service and to provide them with a sanctuary to strengthen and renew their sense of purpose. Point Man of Newburg will play a critical role in the programming offered at this sanctuary. That sanctuary is envisioned to be 100 plus acres of wooded trails for hiking and reflection, a lake for canoeing and fishing, and facilities for healing gatherings using such programs as Reboot, Trace Diaz, and others. Much work remains to be done for this vision to become a reality. You will often hear us say that nothing is impossible if we don't care who gets the credit. This has never been truer than in the formation and initial steps with Mission First. It could be tempting to chase the new shiny object and forego the little things that made our local outpost so successful. In order to remain a critical part of the community with our current programs, new leaders were brought in to form the new entity. Again, not worrying about who gets the credit. This humility enables us to grow more leaders to execute the plans that God has for us and that He has tasked us with. Thank you.